There is nothing more intimidating for a new filmmaker than walking onto a real set with real crew for the very first time. Much like anything else, you need to step outside of your comfort zone in order for you to be successful. So getting out on set is something that you really need to be doing in order for you to succeed within the film industry. Now I know it's really nerve-wracking for you, but the more you're able to educate yourself up front on some basic set etiquette, the more ready you'll be when the time comes for you to get on set. First time on set, most likely you're going to be either a production assistant, a camera assistant, or maybe a behind the scenes shooter. Now for the sake of time and for the sake of getting through 20 different topics here, I'm just going to slightly graze over all of these. If there's something that isn't making sense to you or you need more explanation on, go ahead and write me a question, write me something in the comments below, or go ahead and just do more research on any of these specific topics after the video. Now these 20 things that I am going to go over are all things that I frankly have learned the hard way by embarrassing myself doing the wrong way. So luckily for you, I crawled so you were able to fly. So let's prepare those wings and learn to fly, my little angels. That was weird. Shouldn't have called you little angels. It's kind of creepy. Now first thing, number one, let's cover proper C-stand etiquette. C-stands are just like everywhere. You're going to see them on set everywhere you go. The first and most important thing that you're gonna wanna know about using C-stands is that you're always going to want the largest leg of the C-stand pointing towards the load of the weight that you're putting on top of your stand. So here we have a light with a really big dome that's adding a lot of weight to the front of this. And as you can see, I have the largest leg of the C-stand pointing towards where all the weight of the light dome is headed, and therefore it won't tip over. But if it was facing the other way, it'd be a lot more easy for the C-stand to tip over. Doing this is huge. You're gonna prevent yourself from A, damaging any equipment, and B, injuring any human beings. The second thing you wanna know is always use a sandbag when using C-stands. And with your sandbag, you're going to want to place that on the largest and tallest leg of the C-stand. And the reason for this is because when you put the sandbag on the tallest leg, it's not going to be touching the ground. So all the weight of the sandbag is going to be right heavy on the front of that leg. While if you were to put it on the short leg, some of that bag would be touching the ground and you're not getting the most out of the weight of the sandbag. Another thing to know about C-stands is that when you are raising them, you're always going to want to start with the top riser first. And then if you need any extra height, use the bottom riser. So if you were to start with the bottom riser first, and you max that out and you're like, oh, maybe I need like a little bit more height, it's gonna be really hard for you to reach all the way up to the top and adjust that way. So make sure you start with the top riser first. There's like a lot more C-stand etiquette to learn, but for the sake of the time, those are some main essentials of C-stands and some basics. Number two is speeding. So after the assistant director or the director says, roll sound or roll camera, you're going to hear the sound operator and the camera operator respond by saying speeding. And by saying speeding, what the camera operator and what the sound operator are essentially saying is that their machine is up to speed and it is recording. Now this is just communication to ensure that everyone's rolling and you're not getting any blank shots. I can't tell you how many times on solo projects I've gone through entire scenes or takes where I then hit the record button to stop the recording, but it actually starts recording because I forgot to record in the first place. So yeah, when you're dealing with really big budgets and really big sets, you want to avoid that major frustration just by simply communicating. Number three is Crafty. So the very first time that I heard somebody talking about Crafty, I thought they were referring to like the art department and the arts and crafts that they had going on over there, because I'm dumb. But what Crafty is essentially the very best part of the day. Crafty is a selection of snacks and beverages that are on standby for a crew and cast whenever they need to be fueled or feeling hungry or feeling a little thirsty. And yeah, that's Crafty. A lot of times as a production assistant, one of your tasks will be to go and get the supplies for Crafty that day. Always make sure you get a combination of fun and healthy snack options. Make sure you get seltzer water, because for some reason seltzer water is like the staple drink of a set. Number four is understanding who is doing what on set. Now within this topic, there's really enough material for its own separate video itself, but it really helps you going into the day actually knowing who does what on set. When you receive that call sheet from the producer into your email, go ahead and take a look at all the different types of jobs that are on that call sheet and go and research what those actual jobs do on set for that day. You'll see things like grips, director of photography, gaffer, best boy, ACs, producers, ADs, all different types of jobs going on set. Number 5 is a Gary Coleman. Yeah, you're probably having the same reaction I had when someone asked me to go get a Gary Coleman out of the grip truck. What you're not going to find is a short man just chilling in the truck. But when someone asked me to go get a Gary Coleman, I like frantically was like looking up on Google, like was a Gary Coleman on a film set? And unfortunately I wasn't able to find it in time, so I had to go ahead and ask someone what a Gary Coleman was. And essentially what a Gary Coleman on set is, it's just a short C-stand. Pretty not tasteful name in my personal opinion to describe a smaller C-stand. It's very rare that someone's probably gonna ask you to go get a Gary Coleman, but I just thought it was important to add because I've always thought it was funny. So number 6 is got it. On set, you're going to be dealing with a lot of equipment handoff, and you better believe that you should not be letting go of any piece of equipment until you hear someone say, got it. Especially when you're dealing with cameras and lenses. When you are handing someone something, look that person in the eye and do not let go until you hear them say, got it. Or if you are receiving something from someone, they're not going to let go until you look them in the eye and say, got it. We are dealing with very expensive and vital equipment when it comes to that shoot that day. So the last thing you want to do is mess that up on just like a sloppy handoff just because you weren't communicating. And before you say got it, make sure you actually got it. It kind of becomes second nature to just say got it just like right away when sometimes you actually don't have it. So make sure you really do have it before you say got it. Got it? On a similar note, let's talk about number 7. Let's talk about lens handoffs. Believe it or not, there is a very proper way to hand off lenses. If you're a camera assistant at any level, you'll probably be tasked with handling a lens at some point throughout the day. So say the director of photography wants to change out lenses and they call for the 50mm. What you're going to do is go over to the lens case, open it up, take that lens with 2 hands, walk it over to the AC or assistant camera, and then the first thing that they're going to do is hand you the lens. What you're going to do is put out the palm of your hand, and the AC is going to take the lens and put it face down, glass down, into the palm of your hand. You're gonna grab it, you're gonna look them in the eye, and you're gonna say, got it. They're going to let go, and then they're going to put their other hand out, just like yours, palm up, and you're gonna take the lens in your hand, put it face down into the palm of their hands, and you're not gonna let go until they look you in the eye and say, got it. And once they say, got it, let go, 2 hands on this lens, walk it back to the lens case, cap that lens, put it away, close the case, put the case away. I forgot to mention that while you bring the AC to lens, make sure that both caps are off at the beginning. And that's it. I still get really nervous handing off lenses for some reason, but yeah, that's how you do it. So number 8 is Hollywood. You may hear someone ask you to Hollywood a light, a flag, or a bounce. What it means essentially is that your shoulders are going to burn really bad for the next 30 minutes. What they mean by asking you to Hollywood something is that instead of grabbing a stand, they want you to just hold whatever it is that they ask you to hold. It's a lot quicker than getting someone to go and get a C-stand, or maybe you ran out of C-stands for the setup, so you just need someone to hold it, or maybe you're doing a scene that is a moving scene and the camera's walking and you need someone to walk with a bounce or a light. So yeah, that's what Hollywooding is. Number 9 is sticks. This one's really easy, but essentially a tripod in the film set world is called sticks and not a tripod. Yeah, and that's it. That's it. Number 10 is Aperture Lights. So if you're like me, you probably learned most of the things at the beginning of your filmmaking career through YouTube. So walking on the set, you would expect to see a ton of aperture lights just everywhere. While aperture lights are very capable and amazing lights, no one on film sets apparently uses them. A lot of people don't even actually know what they are on film sets. It was such a bizarre thing for me because, you know, lighting everything at the beginning of my career, I was using Aperture Lights. I'm using an Aperture Light right now to light what you're seeing here. But what you are going to see are a lot of RE HMI lights, RE sky panels, light mats, jokers, yeah, lights like that. So if you don't know what those things are, go ahead and research them and just kind of familiarize yourself with what those lights are and kind of how they're used. Also, make sure you don't touch any HMI lights because they're not like your Aperture lights. They'll burn your face off. Number 11 is to wear black. As a production assistant or crew member, your job is very much not to stand out. No one cares what your style is for the day or anything like that. So, you know, it's the safest bet to just come onto the set wearing black. For one, by wearing a black shirt, you're not going to be a walking bounce board. Luckily, black doesn't reflect back light anywhere. You're not gonna be reflecting colors. So you're just gonna not be interrupting the shot one bit. Another important reason why you should be wearing black on set is because if you're shooting a scene with windows, you know, you're not gonna be seen in the reflection of those windows if you're wearing black. Number 12 is wrapping a stinger or a BNC cable or XLR or any kind of cable. I'm still like very horrible at this for some reason. For those of us who didn't go to film school, this is where we see the biggest impact by not going to film school. So basically how you actually want to wrap them, and you can find better tutorials than what you're gonna see out of me. You want to coil the cable to its truest form and to its original form by just going over into loops. And what this is going to do is that it's going to make it a lot easier for when a grip needs to just like toss the stinger out somewhere. It's just going to unravel a lot easier. It's also going to give you a longer life out of the cord if you're preserving the natural shape that it comes with. So yeah, don't like wrap it around your hand a million times, or just make sure you do it right because grip guys will get on you for this one. Number 13 is neg. Apparently no one has the time to say negative fill in the industry, so everyone just says neg. And if you don't know what negative fill is, I've made a video on it before that you can check out somewhere on my channel. Essentially what negative fill is taking away light to add contrast to your subject or wherever you need it. Number 14 is floppy. Along the same lines as negative fill, you might hear a grip ask you to go get a floppy. And essentially what a floppy is used for is to cut light for negative fill or to just like block some light wherever. And most floppies will unvelcro and you can get a lot longer, and you can either tabletop it over top of someone or you can just have nice and tall, big 8x4 floppy or 4x8. But you're gonna see a lot of floppies on set for sure. 15 is off speed. What off speed means is that you're changing from your normal frame rate 23.98 to a faster frame rate or a slower frame rate. In most cases it's faster, and faster frame rates allow you to shoot for slow motion. That's one that's just good to know in case you're ever shooting for someone and they ask you to shoot a scene off speed. You're not gonna be like, what does that mean? Number 16 is do not run on set. I'm like such a big spaz. Like I always just like feel the need to run everywhere. I don't know why. I feel like I've just been doing it my whole life. But on most sets, it's a big no-no for you to be running on set because there's a lot of expensive equipment being moved around and there's a lot of people moving around. So it's just safer that way for you to be walking instead of running on set. Yes, you want to get things done quickly, but just like walk with a brisk pace rather than a run so you don't get yelled at like I have before. Number 17 is a big one. It's put your phone away. We got two main things here. The first thing is that if you are a production assistant or a PA, it's your first time on set, you want to make a very good impression and you want to show that you're a hard worker. So, you know, you meet people in the industry and people want to work with you. So it's really not a great look to be chilling on your phone all day. It really is a privilege for you to be able to be on set and learning. So really just like don't take this for granted. But for the most part, you should be really just like zoned in, tuned in, observing what everyone and everything is doing on this set just so that you can remember it and take it all in. And you will see a ton of crew members just like chilling on their phones, especially grip guys. Like they do their setting up, and if they don't have a scene to set up next, they'll just be hanging on their phones, but they're allowed to do that. They did all their hard work. Yeah, they probably have a lot more experience than you do and a lot more relationships built. So just because you see other people on their phones doesn't mean you should be. The second thing that's important to touch on here is that you should never be posting something to social media about the set unless someone like the director or one of the main producers specifically asks you to take a BTS photo or something along those lines. A lot of sets have really strict no social media policies on their sets due to the sensitivity of what's being filmed and just basically what the client wants in general. They don't want things about their commercial coming out before the actual commercial comes out itself. Number 18 is don't touch things that you're not supposed to be touching. Unless someone specifically asks you to touch that camera, touch that lens, touch that stand, touch that light, just don't touch it and stay out of the way. You don't know why specific things are where they are, and you also don't have a ton of experience with handling a lot of the equipment, so you don't want to be putting your hands all over these very expensive pieces of equipment. But obviously, if someone asks you to help them with something, help them. If they ask you to move some stands, move those stands. But unless someone actually directs you to do something, don't try to be super proactive. Number 19 is just ask. Don't embarrass yourself like I have many times before that I could have avoided just by simply asking someone. Chances are the person that you're asking your question to had that same question before and had to ask someone else that question. Everyone knows that you're new and everyone is generally willing to help you with whatever you need help with. But the last thing you want to do is waste someone's time by taking forever to go get something out of the truck because you don't actually know what that is. So it just saves you a lot of time and a lot of panic. Just be like, hey, what's a floppy? And they'll tell you what a floppy is, you'll go get it out of the truck and boom. Not a problem at all. For the rest of your life, you know what a floppy is. And last but certainly not least, number 20 is just to be a good person. This, generally speaking, goes for life, but especially on a film set. Stakes are high, hours are long, and people tend to just get frustrated. And at the end of the day, you want to be around good people in those tough situations that you're dealing with. Just by being an enjoyable person on set will get you so far in this industry. Just be ready to help with whatever, don't complain, just be friendly to everyone. It doesn't matter who that person is. So yeah, it sounds logical, but after a long 10-hour day, it's really hard to not complain and not want to be there. But that's the time that you're most needed to just be a joyful person. So hopefully after hearing those 20 things, you're feeling a little more prepared with going into your first experience on set. Or now I just sparked mass chaos amongst the YouTube community. Either or. But it really is just, it's okay to be nervous the first time. It is intimidating, but being nervous means that you care, and if you care, you'll be fine. On set truly is the best place for anyone in this industry to learn anything. So if you're really serious about making filmmaking your everlasting career, reach out to production companies, reach out to filmmakers, and start offering your services as a production assistant, a camera assistant, BTS, whatever it may be. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe after watching this, you're one step closer to reaching your film career goals. So, yeah. I love you.